check it. Listen up, we're making noise. Strictly Sports Podcast, bringing all the toys. Be wise, Miles, and Trigger. We the three wise men. Dropping knowledge, breaking records. It's our mission, man. From the field to the court, we cover it all. No topic too big, no team too small. We analyze, we debate, we bring that heat. Strictly Sports crew taking over the beat.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Strictly Sports. I'm Be Wise.
I'm Trigger.
I'm Miles.
And we are back with another episode of Strictly Sports. How we doing today, fellas?
Doing great. Fantastic.
Can't complain, man. I'm in the 7-5, y'all. So my signal ain't the best. So if it drop out, you know why.
Miles over there on he on that AOL dial-up out there.
Wow.
Hey, look, that's why I'm scared to move deeper into the
Right.
country, man, because they just starting to lay fiber, but I hope it's fast, yo. Like, I don't know.
You're going to be writing letters and sending pigeons, buried pigeons.
All right, let's get into it.
Putting
Miles,
notes in the bottle, send it down the river somewhere.
send it down to Appomattox. It ain't gonna never get there.
Yep.
All right, Miles, you got a message. You got a message for the people.
What in the world? This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Winter is coming for y'all. If you think you lonely now, wait till these video games come out. Oh, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Uh-oh. He didn't went out. Hey, look, excuse the technical difficulties. Miles is out there in Suffolk. Oh, I don't want to say where he at. I'm sorry. Dang. You back. He back.
Knocking on his door now.
He back.
Yeah, see? Sorry about that. So what was the last thing y'all heard?
You said it's about to be a long winter for you ladies with these games coming out.
Oh yeah, if you think you're lonely now, wait till these games come out, man. You got NCAA, Madden,
What's up,
2K,
Nils?
Call of Duty, and then when May 26th comes, y'all fresh out of luck, ladies. Winter is coming for y'all. If you ain't got a man now, ooh, it's gonna be sucky for you. And ladies who do have a man, don't ask what he want for Christmas. You already know. But winter is coming. You better get warm.
I said winter is coming for these ladies with these video games. Hey, shout out college football. Excuse me. College football 26 comes out tomorrow for us who pre-ordered. We're gonna be running and streaming. But I got a quick wise words. You're not behind. You're building. Retrain your inner voice to push you, not punish you. Sometimes that voice in your head can punish you, but let it push you and not punish you. It's not wrong all the time either. But
I like that.
Trigger, I got your rant for the Yankees. Uh-oh. Let me get you set up. Hold, please. There we go.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
New York Yankees. You know, I kind of wish we had went on right after the game went off yesterday because I had so much more vitriol and venom I could have, went in on. That's why I hate, the raw emotions I be feeling, the things I be wanting to say right then and there. Like, I can't get to a screen fast enough to do it. If I get time to, like, cool off and think about things, it's not as much as the same, but I still don't have a lot of great things to say about them. But I'll start with they have been probably one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in baseball, since about the second week of June now. They've gone on 2 separate 6-game losing streaks since then. They just came off of one today. They finally won this afternoon, the last game of the Subway Series against the Mets. in dramatic fashion. But here's the good thing I will say about them during this 6 game, or I guess the 7 game stretch when they went 1-6. The Yankees offense has pretty much done what they've been doing all season. The problem is it's been the pitching. Starting pitching, even like our aces, our guys who've been holding it down consistently all season long, Carlos Rodon and Max Fried have had some shaky outings. And if they had some shaky outings, of course the guys behind them were not much better. And then the bullpen has completely fallen apart. Whether guys are getting hurt or I don't know if they're being overworked because our starters can't go 5 6 innings anymore. So these relievers are coming in and playing more, and we're depending on them to get more outs. And they're tiring out, and they're just out there throwing meatballs across home plate, and just everybody's getting hits and scoring runs. But the bullpen were definitely took a step back in the wrong direction, and they weren't like super locked down great to begin with. They were pretty consistent and like bending but not breaking. But I've yet to see like a strong game or series of games from our bullpen. I'm seeing the same guys go out and do the same things, and certain guys get called out there to the mound, and I'm getting nervous because I know what's about to happen. Um, we also recently, the news hasn't officially come out yet, but we're probably going to be without Clark Smith for the rest of the season because they said it came out when he left the Blue Jays game a couple nights ago with some right forearm tightness. They went and did some x-rays and did all of the things and found that he will more than likely need to have Tommy John surgery. So that is the second starter that the Yankees have lost to Tommy John surgery this year. But if I had to have it, if two of my starters were going to go out to Tommy John surgery, and one of them was my ace and Garrett Cole, I would much rather have the Garrett Cole happen before the season, so that way, he'll be back beginning of next year, rather than have it, like Clark Smith in the middle of the season, where now you're in jeopardy of missing most of, if not all of next year, when he comes back from that. So Luis Hill still hasn't made his season debut yet. Projected timeline for him to come back will be sometime after the All-Star break. So it'll be late July, early August, somewhere around the trade deadline. After the trade deadline would be my guess. But right now it's Fried and Rodon. Um, really, after those two, like it's been all year, the other guys behind them, it hasn't been anything to be or feel happy about. Marcus Stroman came back for the first time after being on the injured list since I think April. Um, he had a horrible outing in his last rehab start, and somehow the Yankees thought, he's ready. So they tossed him out there against the Blue Jays, and honestly, he probably performed the best out of all the pitchers that went up against the Blue Jays. He gave up only 3 runs, which, that's pretty good from him because he's not a strikeout pitcher at all. So guys are going to get some hits and make some contact if he's on the plate. But he left the game. I think when he left the game, the Yankees had a 5-3 lead, and the bullpen came in and blew it. The Yankees have averaged about 6 runs a game during the 7 game losing streak. So they're putting up enough runs to win. The problem is, like I said, it's been pitching. That first 6 game losing streak that we went on, where the Yankees didn't look good. It was all batting. The pitching did great. Like we were holding guys, the starters will hold guys to like 1 or 2 runs, 0 runs, and the bullpen will come in and then they give up the lead, or we couldn't get any quality at bats. Aaron Judge was horrible. He's been great during this stretch, and the other guys have been great offensively. Jason Dominguez, I feel like, has finally turned the corner. He's still not a great left fielder. He still needs some time and some improvement there. But at the plate, I've seen him grow throughout the season. In the beginning, the first couple months, he was swinging at everything, it seemed like. And now he's been more disciplined. He's getting deeper into counts. He's forcing the pitcher to throw balls in the zone, balls that he likes to hit. and then he's been getting on base as a result, drawing more walks. So whoever's working with him is getting this kind of production from him at the plate. Kudos to them. It's finally starting to pay off. We're starting to finally see him hit the way that the Yankees fans have been hoping for and clamoring for ever since last year, late last season when he was still in the minors, and everyone was calling for the Yankees to call him up, and they called him up, and he didn't even play in the playoffs. He was just kind of there, but he's finally taken on that role at the plate. At least he's offensively, he's been great. Um, but again, Aaron Judge has come out and said that every team goes through bad stretches, but it seems like no other good team in baseball goes through these funks the way that the Yankees do. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is. But with Clark Smith being out for the year now, that's pretty much going to force the Yankees to have to go get a pitcher, another starting pitcher. They were already in the market for another starting pitcher before Clark Smith's injury, but now they're definitely going to go out there and get somebody. I have to believe, if anything, that'll probably be the most important thing because we do have talent. We got bats. Um, I know they're looking for a third baseman because they want to move Jazz back to second. Jazz is not a great third baseman. He's a serviceable third baseman, but he's not a great third baseman. So they're going to go out and actually get a third baseman who's right-handed, who can give them something in the lineup. And right now, that name that I'm hearing is Eugenio Suarez, plays for the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks are one of those teams that I thought was going to be better than they were. They're right hovering around 500. And given the way the NL West looks right now, with the Giants, the Padres, and the Dodgers being the top three teams, and the Diamondbacks losing their starting pitcher in Corbin Burns for the year, they're not projected to really do much of anything going forward. So they're more than likely going to be sellers at the deadline. They got a couple guys, maybe a pitcher or two who may be on the market. And this Suarez, who plays third baseman for the Diamondbacks, is exactly what the Yankees need. He's got a great bat. He has power. He is currently fourth in all of baseball in home runs. Cal Raleigh leads it, the Seattle catcher. Aaron Judge is second. Cal Raleigh has 35. Aaron Judge is 33. Otani is third with 32 or 31, sorry. And then Suarez is fourth with 28. So he has power, big time power, and he hits about 250, which is pretty good. OPS is pretty good. Um, right about 750, 760 or somewhere in there. Um, and the guy and he's a natural third baseman. The only thing I don't like about it is he has as many errors as Anthony Volpe does. So having him at third and Volpe at shortstop, I don't know how I feel about that, but that offense we could use. And the fact that he actually plays third base, we could use. And the Yankees like power and they like the home run ball. This guy is fourth in the majors in home runs. So literally, if we go out and trade for him and pick him up, we'll have two guys in the top five that lead the majors in home runs. That would be right up the Yankees' alley. As far as pitching goes, there are a lot of names out there that will be associated with the New York Yankees. Some I like, some I'm not too keen on. But the two that I would like for us to go get would be either Freddie Peralta or Joe Ryan from the Minnesota Twins. And the reason for those two is because if we trade for them, they're going to be the more expensive ones out of the two because they have team control. So the Yankees going to get them, and they're going to have them for a few years before they hit the market. So they're both playing, about the same, but they have both been elite and pretty dominant this season. I would rather have Peralta over Ryan if it were up to me. But I would take either one of them. But other names I'm hearing the Yankees be attached to, Andrew Haney of the Pittsburgh Pirates, um, Eric Fede of the St. Louis Cardinals, who just had a terrible outing just now. I was sitting here watching them pitch against the Cubs, and yeah, no, thank you. Sandy Alcantara, which was a name that came up in the offseason, I believe. Um, the guy who came off Tommy John surgery, the starting pitcher for the Miami Marlins. He has been horrible this year. He has like a 7 ERA, which is absolutely insane. Um, it's been terrible. Now So I've read it's been mostly bad luck with him. That's why his ERA is so high. But he could be one of those pitchers that a change of scenery could do him some good. But I don't know. I'd be nervous about him. He probably be. This is a guy who almost won the Cy Young last year. So I would be nervous about adding him now because he hasn't had a great year, but he hasn't really had the team around him to kind of give him that support to help him out. So I don't know how I feel about that one, but I feel like the Yankees will entertain it now because he'll probably be cheaper to get because of the performance he's had this year. Um, but yeah, those are just a few names I heard out there as far as pitching. Bullpen pieces, the only name that I've heard so far is Kyle Finnegan of the Washington Nationals. And from the looks of what they did earlier today, they're definitely going to be sellers at the deadline because they fired their manager and the general manager right after the game today. So, yeah, I think they're going to get rid of some pieces. And Kyle Finnegan's name popped up last year potentially as a Yankees reliever, and they never made a move to go get him. I think he remained in Washington. He's having a pretty good year this year, and he's his name is back on the market again. So maybe they make a move for him, maybe they don't. I don't know, but they definitely need a reliever or two because Fernando Cruz is injured yet again. And the reason why that's significant is because Fernando Cruz is one of very few pitchers, starters, and bullpen pieces or relievers. He's one of very few pitchers on our roster that has actual swing and miss stuff, and we desperately need that, in our lineup. Like we love, love, love to have a starter to get more swings and misses. Right now, we got Rodon and Will Warren to get you some every now and again. But Max Fried, even though he's a great pitcher, he's a ground ball pitcher. Like he's not striking out a lot of dudes. He's getting them out on ground balls. And we got a bunch of guys in the pen who are, getting ground balls and pop ups and stuff like that to get outs. They're giving up high contact. So we need more guys who can get some swing and miss stuff. And Fernando Cruz is probably the best reliever that we have in terms of getting swing and miss. And this is his second time on the IL in as many months. The first time he went on the IL, he was not gone long. It was a shoulder issue, I
What's
believe.
up, Lady Ray?
I
Bad
hate
trigger.
later Ray. How you doing? Are you good? It was a shoulder injury, I believe he had. He came back from it. Now this time, I think he has an oblique strain injury. So that's going to take more time. They say it could possibly be like late August, September ish before we see him again. So they definitely need to go get another piece to go along with him, or to replace that production, or to get that swing and miss that we need. Um, Devin Williams has been pretty good. He got the save today against the Mets. Um, I can't say much about him because he has been playing well. It seems like he's finally settled in. Like his demeanor just looks different on the mound. He looks more confident and control. Um, Luke Weaver, he went on the IL for a hamstring, and he came back and he's been a completely different pitcher, and not in a good way. I mean, every game he's played in since he's been back, he's given up home runs, like with the S. So I don't know what's going on with him. If it's a field issue, if it's a timing thing, no clue. But he needs to figure it out quick because we can't have another guy out there that we can't defend. There's so many guys they throw out there now that I'm like, oh gosh, I just hope he doesn't give up a big run. I just hope he doesn't give up a big hit. You know, there's too much of that going on right now. But our bullpen is very thin. Um, they need more bullpen pieces. As far as the Yankees go, where I see them at right now is if they're a playoff team, if they're not a playoff team. Um, I think offensively they're good enough to be a playoff team. My issue with them is the same thing as last year. It's the defense. We were supposed to address these problems and fix these problems in the offseason. And I do think that we got better defenders this year. However, I don't know if like Boone, how he's managing, like he's holding guys accountable. If they're not doing fundamental things in practice or whatever, I don't know. But we're seeing the same mistakes they made last year. Like today's game, for instance. Once again, all too familiar. The Yankees had a 5-0 lead on the Mets until the fifth inning. Does it sound familiar? They had a 5-run lead today against the Mets in the fifth inning. PTSD is kicking in right now as I'm talking about it. 5-run lead. They were up 5-0, just like they were against the Dodgers in Game 5 of the World Series. 5-0 when the
Right.
fifth inning hit. So the fifth inning comes on, and then the Yankees give up 2 runs. So it's a 5-2 game. They get to the sixth inning. They give up 2 more runs. Now it's a 5-4 game. Here we go. They're about to get swept by the Mets and lose their 7th in a row, which will be a season high. So we get to the the top of the 7th. The Yankees did put up another run, made it 6-4. So bottom of the 7th inning, Francisco Lindor leads off. Mark Leiter Jr. is pitching, who I hate, by the way. He sucks. The Yankees need to get rid of him. He was a horrible acquisition at the deadline last year. He needs to go. Mark Leiter Jr. works a 3-2 count against Francisco Lindor. The next pitch hits Francisco Lindor. Puts him on base. It would have been ball 4 anyway. So it gives a man a free pass. All right, got 1 man on, no outs. Next up to bat, former Yankee Juan Soto comes to the plate. I think Soto was like 0 for 2, 0 for 3 at that point in the game. He killed us a day before, though, and the day before that. But, man, this is getting ugly. But anywho, so Juan Soto comes to the plate. Mark Leiter Jr. is pitching. Mark Leiter Jr. throws a pitch to Soto, a couple pitches, whatever. I think the 3rd or 4th pitch, and he at bat. Soto gets a hit. And the way it came off the bat, it looked like it was going to hit, and at least. Sorry, man. I was watching a baseball game later, right? That's what happened. But Soto gets a hit, and it looks like it's going to drop in front of Cody Bellinger out in left field. Cody Bellinger said no. Cody Bellinger ran at the ball. It was going to be one of those plays that if he caught it, it was going to be a great catch. If not, that ball was going to bounce back behind him and go to the wall. And that was going to turn into Francisco Lindor going from first to home and Soto probably getting to third base. 6-5 game with no outs. Not only did Cody Bellinger make this catch by the skin of his teeth, he picked his head up as he was catching the ball to see where Lindor was. Because Lindor knew that was going to be a hit, so he had already took off. So he was a ways off of first base. So Cody Bellinger picks his head up. He sees where he's at. And he's like, oh, I got a shot to actually throw him out at first. So he throws, I'm telling you, a dart from left field to first base to Paul Goldschmidt, and they double up Lindor. It went from possibly being a 6-5 game to no man on and 2 outs. That play saved the Yankees from losing that game. Because I saw where it was going. The last 2 innings before, we were up 5-0, and the Mets put up 4 runs in those 2 innings, and they were on their way to putting up another run had Cody Bellinger not made the play that he had made. The Mets were about to win that game in that inning. And that sucked the momentum back to the Yankees, and it took the air out of the stadium. Because the fans felt it. I felt it. Everybody felt it right here. Like, oh, this is going to be the ball game. Because as soon as Soto made contact with that ball, and I've seen Soto hit a bunch of times last year in these Yankee games. As soon as he made contact, I was like, oh, that opposite field, like that's going to get down. Like the runner's going to advance. They're going to have 2 guys on with Pete Alonso coming up and no outs. Tell me they're not going to score at least 2 runs and take this lead back. But Cody Bellinger made a heck of a play. I promise you, it'll probably be the best defensive play you will see all season. He saved the Yankees game, and that kind of play right there can also turn a season around for a team. It was like these guys have been playing really, really bad baseball as of late, struggling. And for him to still, go balls to the wall, go all out, and make a very dangerous, gutsy play. Because, again, if he misses that ball, it gets behind him. and the Mets put up some more run, or put up at least one run, and they'll probably score more runs after that. Because of course, Pete Alonso comes up after we get the 2 outs, and then Mark Leiter Jr. ends up walking him. And after he did that, Boone probably made the best managerial decision I've seen him make this season. After he walked his second batter, he went out, took him out the game, and went and got Tim Hill. Tim Hill comes in, one pitch, gets the third out. So great job by Boone for not letting Mark Leiter Jr. sit in there and blow another game. Um, But yeah, it was a heck of a play. And I think that they should take that and ride that momentum into this next series against the Mariners, which would be a fun matchup because it'll be Cal Raleigh versus Aaron Judge, the two home run leaders in all of baseball, face off against each other. 3-game series in the Bronx, starting on Tuesday. And then we got the Cubs and a 3-game series after that. So we got six straight games at home coming up against two playoff bound teams. And this is going to tell a lot about the Yankees, the way they perform. They need to win both of these series to feel good about themselves going into the All-Star break. They have to. They have to win 2 out of 3 in both of these series. And the good thing about the Yankees going into these series is
Appreciate the
that
cheer, Lady Ray.
the good thing about these Yankees going into these respective series is that they're at home, which the Yankees have been very good at home this season. They have one of the best home records in baseball, despite them playing pretty bad for this last almost month now. So they're going home for 6 straight games. They got to win 4 out of 6. They have to. Um, and then they'll go into All Star break feeling pretty good. They'll come out of it. They'll play against a weaker team in the Atlanta Braves, the first series out of that All Star break, and then the rest of the month is going to be a huge test. This whole month of July, outside of the Atlanta Braves series, we're playing playoff teams. So by the end of the month and by the deadline, we're going to know a lot about what the Yankees are going to look like, and how they feel about themselves, and if they truly are going to be playoff contenders based off of the opponents they're going to play, the moves they can potentially make at the deadline, and how they look when we get to July 31st. When everything's all said and done, what their record is, how they performed against playoff teams, and, and we'll see what they look like going forward after that. But they have a huge opportunity here to really right the ship after having such a rough go the last few weeks. They really do. And it'll make me feel better. And I know it'll make them feel better to play good against elite teams. Because right now they are third in the American League East race. They went from third, I did went from first to third. They were 3 games up, now they're 3 games back, all in a week. So the Tampa Bay Rays, the Blue Jays are the current leaders. The Tampa Bay Rays, I think, are ahead of them in second, and the Yankees are third. So we might get 3 teams out of the AL East in the American League playoffs this year. Detroit's pretty much run away with that division in the AL Central. I'm sorry. The Guardians and the Royals have been very disappointing, and I say that the Guardians popped up. They lost another game today to the Tigers. Damn, Cleveland's lost 10 in a row. They've been really bad here. But yeah, the Cleveland Guardians, the Royals, they're not, and nobody else in the AL Central is going to be challenging the Tigers. The AL West, for whatever reason, the Astros lead the division, even though they got rid of 2 of their best players, and Alex Bregman and Kyle Tucker. They have found a way to still be a thorn in everybody's side. How, I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it. They literally don't have a bunch of big names on their team. Like, they just don't. Um, but they're in the lead. It's like last year, the Mariners had a 10-game lead in the AL West, and here come the Astros out of nowhere, took the lead, and then the Mariners didn't even make the playoffs after that. So, but it'll come down between those 2 teams again. The Mariners might get a wild card spot this year if they're able to keep playing well, and Cal Raleigh continues to do his thing. Um, but the Houston Astros will more than likely win the AL West. So the Central, it'll be Detroit, nobody else. And then you probably have 3 teams out the American League East, and then the American League West, it'll be probably Houston and Seattle. Um, In the National League, you got the Dodgers. They're at the top, I believe. The Padres and the Giants will be right there with them. That could be a division that has three teams make the playoffs. As NL Central goes, the Chicago Cubs, like the Detroit Tigers, are pretty much running away with that division. It's not really close. I mean, you got the Reds, who haven't been playing great, the Pittsburgh Pirates, who haven't been playing great. You got the Cardinals, who are, they're kind of like, in between. Like, they might be a playoff team, they might not be. Um, and the Milwaukee Brewers, same thing. They may be, they may not be. But the Cubs, yeah, they should win that division easily. They have one of the best records in baseball. The NL East, the Mets were the leading team, and they kind of fell out behind the Phillies. So it'll be a close race between the two of those teams as to who wins and who comes in second place. They'll be the top two. Um, the Braves, at this point, the way they've been playing, they probably won't make the playoffs. The Nationals sure as hell not making the playoffs, and the Miami Marlins not making the playoffs. So it'll probably be the Braves. I mean, not the Braves, but the Mets and the Phillies coming out the East. I expected more from the Braves, but obviously they've been a big disappointment this season. Injuries have played a role for that team, but still, they were expected to do a lot better. I mean, they started off the season 0-7, and they worked their way back to 500, and then they lost like a bunch of other games and went back down again. And now I think they're still under 500. So at this point, they are who they are. I don't see them unless they make a couple moves. They might even be sellers at the deadline. I don't know. They say they're not going to be, but they might be. Who knows? But I don't think they can make any move out there that's going to get them back in contention. They got to go get back and get Max Fried and Freddie Freeman to have a chance. And that ain't happening. So that does for the NL East. The NL West we already went over in the Central. So my prediction: the teams make the playoffs in NL West: Dodgers, Padres, Giants. The Phillies and the Mets. One of those two win a division. The other one will be a wild card. So that's two more teams. And then the last team will be the winner of the Central Division, which would be the Cubs. So those are my teams. I got three teams out the NL West. I got one team from the Central and two teams from the NL East. Um, the Diamondbacks are the other team that have been a disappointment, who I thought would be better, along with the Braves. So the Cardinals in between, the Brewers in between. As far as American League, I think the Yankees are in between, I would say. The Tigers have been better than what I thought. So I'm a little bit surprised at how well they're doing, because they made a run late last year to get into the playoffs. And everybody thought it was a fluke. And they played, and they thought they were just one of those teams that just got hot at the right time, which happens. And it's carried over into this season. It was not a fluke whatsoever. That team is for real. They are for real. And the funny part about it is they have Gleyber Torres, who was a former Yankee, who is no longer a Yankee because of his, stupid mistakes on defense and his lack of effort and hustle on offense and all those things. They got in trouble and got benched for. And now, not only is he on the best team in the American League, this man is the best second baseman in maybe all of baseball after being the worst last year. This man is also in the All-Star game, and he's starting as the second baseman in the All-Star game this year. Let that sink in for a second. Then when you think back at the World Series Game 5, when the Yankees blew that lead, Gleyber Torres was not part of any of that being blown. It was a bunch of other guys. He was nowhere in that. So it's amazing what, one guy does with the Yankees, and once he leaves, he goes and joins a team who's now a contender. He's playing great baseball. He's leading off of them. He's hitting a great average, a decent amount of home runs, and like he's playing his tail off, which he was doing with the Yankees from like August until the end of the season. He was great for us, but he had already sealed his fate beforehand. So no matter what he did, the Yankees are going to get rid of him, or let him walk, or rather. But he's going to Detroit to a better situation with a really good team, with really good pitching, really good young players and talent, and he's playing a position that he wanted to play, and he's thriving. And so much so that he has earned the fans' vote to be the starting second baseman for the American League team in the All Star game, and he's probably the best second baseman in baseball after being the worst last year. Crazy to think about. Complete 180. I'm happy for him. So obviously the Yankees look bad for letting him walk. They didn't even get this man a qualifying offer. They were so done with him. So way to stick it to the Yankees, Gleyber Torres. I'm happy for him, and he deserves it. Um, I think it's funny how that happened now, because now the Yankees are still struggling at second base. They have a second baseman, but they're playing him at third. So I don't know. That's why I say, man, depending on these moves the Yankees make at the deadline and how they play leading up to it, it's going to tell me a lot about this team if they're for real or not. Like, if you really for real, you put Jazz at second and actually go get a third baseman. Stop playing guys out of position. Like, I know there's guys in the league who play multiple positions, like Cody Bellinger. He plays center field. He plays left field. He plays first base. All right. But Jazz Chisholm, when he was in Miami, he played second base, he played center field. And you bring him to New York, and he's played third base the whole time he's been there. He's never played third in the majors ever until he got to the Yankees. Like, you can't be a serious team when you're playing a guy way out of position like that. So you got to go and get somebody that plays that position, whether it's Eugenio Suarez, if y'all got enough to go and get him, whether it's Brian Hayes, which is another name that popped up, plays for the Pirates. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa also plays for the Pirates, former Yankee, by the way. Nolan Arenado, who's a big name that was mixed in with the Yankees. There was rumors swirling around in the preseason that the Cardinals are going to trade him and that the Yankees were interested, but it never happened. Nolan Arenado is still a Cardinal. He's played a pretty decent season. But he's a very, very good defender at third, and he has a serviceable bat. So that could also be an option. Still, but there's slew of names out there that the Yankees are interested in. Now go out there and at the very least be a good defender at third. Brian Hayes is probably the best defender on that list. Now his bat's probably not as good as the other guys. I would prefer him have a good bat, but I think I would like to take the defense over the offense at this point because we got enough guys who can hit the ball for the Yankees. They don't need to have another bat. They need more defense and they need somebody who can put the ball in play. Because we got plenty of guys who can hit. We got Judge, Bellinger, Goldsmith, Grisham, Chisholm. All those guys can hit. Ben Rice is, I'm not worried about them not being able to put the ball in play. We need some guys who can lock down that hot corner. So if Brian Hayes, they bring him in, he has the best glove. But offensively, you're probably looking at either IKF or Suarez from the Diamondbacks, who is fourth in homers and is batting 250 and has a lot of power. And we're absolutely, if we had that bat in our lineup, I mean, we should have no issues putting up runs. And another guy who's a home run threat, obviously. So that's my update. That's my rant / baseball update. Right now, we're more than halfway through the season. Roughly every team has played somewhere around about 90 games, which is over the halfway mark. Certain teams, most of the teams who are leading their divisions right now or have the best records in baseball are teams that I pretty much figured would have those records outside of a couple. There's been a couple of surprises. There's a couple of letdowns. But I guess that goes with the game. But still a lot of time left for some of these guys to still contend who aren't contending right now. The deadline is going to determine how that all shakes out. We got some teams that are right on the line right now. Are we going to be sellers? We're going to be buyers. I don't know. We'll see. But by the end of the month, when the deadline passes, and everybody's made their moves, it's going to be interesting to see what the Yankees do. They didn't do much of anything at the deadline last year, which pissed me off because they had so many holes to fill. And they virtually filled None of them. They went out and got two relievers that nobody knew of, and one of them who's still a Yankee, Mark Leiter Jr., who they just need to go. Need to go. I'll go out there and throw and do the same thing he's doing. So, and you ain't got to pay me that much. But
Get your
anywho,
bag,
I'm
Trigger.
sorry. I know I talk a lot, a long time, whatever. It was a lot of, I know we didn't have a lot to talk about tonight, so I was trying to fill up some time. But but yeah, that's my little baseball update. Yankees coming off of a pretty bad road trip, 1-6 over the last seven. Going home now to play two quality teams. We'll see how they do going into the break. I would love for them to feel good going into the break. But we'll see. I don't know.
Appreciate the MLB analysis, Big Trigger. As the Yankees continue to disappoint, as we knew they would all year. Um, Shout out Red Sox. Let's get into it though. Mouse, how has this NBA most active trade deadline been for you? We had a 17 trade, first time in NBA history. They traded three
Name those
pairs of
names. I may
socks,
ask you.
some underwear, and some juicy juice. And I don't know. I thought this was supposed to be the biggest trade of all time. I feel like this is like
I think it was big,
anticlimactic.
big in terms of the number of teams involved. Hey,
No,
won't no big names. It's just Kevin Durant and a bunch of dudes. That's it.
So let's get y'all thoughts on that. How y'all feel about this NBA season's trade deadline?
um,
And then have
I
y'all been
think
keeping up with summer league?
I think the main issue, Shams was like, this is going to be the biggest off season ever. I think that was the biggest mistake. You should have just said nothing, because now people got these high, high, high expectations. The biggest trade obviously was the KD thing. Timing couldn't have been any worse. For starters, he got traded the same day as Game Seven of the NBA Finals, and hours prior to that, that's when the United States flew missiles over to Iran. So the headlines, it wasn't there. It was just the wrong day for it to happen. I think there's been a lot of trades going on. I kind of like the all season, but I think when Sham said what he said, people's expectations was like, oh my god, like they're looking for blockbuster stuff. I think a lot of stuff has happened. Um, I'm enjoying it. It's good to. I'm triggered to see where Giannis goes. Me personally, everybody's moving to the West. Giannis, I think your best bet is to stay in the East. Your road to the finals will be easier. The West is going to be a bloodbath. Um, it's going to be a bloodbath. I would stay in the East, Giannis. Preferably go to Detroit. But if you want us to go to Milwaukee, if you want to stay in Milwaukee, that's fine. Um, but me personally, I've enjoyed the all season. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. I just think Shams, he shouldn't have said what he said. He should have just
Let it happen.
let it. Yeah. And no, I haven't been keeping up with the summer league. I never watched summer league.
How about you, Trigger?
Yeah, so that 17 trade pretty much was a microcosm of the entire free agency period right there. It's just seven teams and all the name. Like, who are these people? This whole free agency has been like a bunch of dudes just re-signing with the teams they was already with. I'm thinking it's going to be changes. People going to go here, go there, whatever. And I guess I could say that could be a good thing because people feel like teams they're on are competitive enough to compete. If you think about all the guys, all the teams who made the Final Four this year, the Knicks, the Pacers, the Timberwolves, the Thunder, all teams that were looking for the championship for the first time in franchise history outside of the Knicks, who won one back in the 70s. But the Pacers, the Thunder, and the Timberwolves have never won a championship. And the guys on those teams, they're not super teams. So if we're really going back in time to where we're competing, and you got one superstar, maybe two superstar players, and a bunch of guys who play well together, and play really good roles, or play their roles really well, I should say. Um, I mean, why not? Why am I switching teams for? My team might be good enough to compete, so I'm gonna stay where I'm at. So that's why I think maybe we haven't seen much movement. It hasn't been too hard for these guys who have been free agency. I'm talking about like the bigger name players. These guys who are upcoming free agents to re-sign with the teams that they're with because they feel like, they can compete against these other teams given what Indiana and OKC did this past season. Um, so yeah, it's been very uneventful. A lot of guys re-signing the teams are already with. The little trades that have happened haven't been huge. The only two trades of significance that happened this offseason was obviously the Kevin Durant trade and then the trade with Desmond Bain going to the Magic from the Grizzlies and what the Grizzlies got back for that. So outside of that, that's really been it. Oh, sorry, I forgot about the Porzingis trade from Milwaukee. He's where is he in Atlanta now? I
Oh,
believe Atlanta with Trey
Porzingis, I think it
Young.
was Atlantic. Yeah.
Yeah, because they lost Clint Capella to Houston. That was a great pickup for Houston, by the way. Clint Capella back in Houston, along with Dorian Finney-Smith, KD, Fred VanVleet. Like they came up Houston. Like they are title contenders. They are title contenders.
All
Um,
that to finish first, second place, and get swept in the first round again.
I don't
I
know.
mean, to
We'll
get
see.
swept in the first
We'll
round, not
we'll we
I
again.
will see.
don't
They
know
got
about that.
they got more of a veteran presence this year than they did in the playoffs this past season. So we will see. But who did Atlanta got somebody else too. They got Trey Young, Kristaps Porzingis, and somebody else went there. I want to say
Hold on, I will look that up. But while I
Trey
look that
Young went and
up,
he went and recruited. Was it Luke Kennard? I think it was Luke Kennard and somebody else too. They might have a nice little squad next year if Porzingis can stay healthy.
uh, hmm. Nikhil Alexander Walker from Minnesota and a
Yes.
multi-team trade. Yep.
Yeah. That's who it was. That was the name that was floated around from Miami too, of course, as per usual. But but yeah, they got a couple of additions. So I mean, outside of that, it's been a relatively quiet free agency period. So one thing I read earlier today that I thought was interesting was this Bradley Beal situation. So like Damian Lillard with the Milwaukee Bucks waiving and stretching his money, now the Phoenix Suns are considering doing the same thing with Bill. Because remember, Bill had a no trade clause in his contract, which made it very very hard for Phoenix to move him. Which is why Kevin Durant ended up being the one that made the most sense to trade because Bill's contract. Obviously, you want to keep Devin Booker because that's your cornerstone franchise guy. So Kevin Durant was the odd man out. Um, but now they're thinking they can waive and stretch Bill to a degree. And Bill would have to, if he's cooperative, he would have to forfeit, I think, almost like 14 million of the 53 or 54, whatever it is that he's due this upcoming season. And then they'll stretch his contract, I think, same way the Bucks did with Dame. And then Bill will hit the market. And when Bill hits the market, he will have, from what I read, a couple teams interested in him. Miami reportedly is supposed to be interested if he does hit the market. Another team I thought was interesting, and I think he honestly would be a better fit, would be the Milwaukee Bucks. Why do I say it'd be a better fit in Milwaukee? Well, two reasons. For one, to keep Giannis there, and two, Bradley Beal can go back to being who he was in Washington. I mean, he'll be second fiddle to Giannis, but he'll be a second option rather than being a third or fourth option in Phoenix. Because Bradley Beal's numbers took a hit this past season. And people were like, he's washed up, whatever. No, Bradley's still he just turned 32. And if he can stay healthy, and when he is healthy, he usually is a pretty good basketball player. Like he shot 50% from the field last year, and he was about 39% from three. Like that's pretty damn good. So I would take that, at his age, and hopefully he stays healthy. But the reason why his points per game dropped from because he was averaging I think 30 his last year in Washington, and in Phoenix he hasn't really. been scoring nearly as much on the average. He he hasn't been averaging nearly as much as he did in Washington with Phoenix because he's playing with probably two of the best pure scorers in basketball in Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So of course, naturally, his numbers are going to drop down a little bit because those two guys are taking and making a lot of the shots. So yes, he averaged under 20 points a game this past season because Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. But now, if he goes to Milwaukee, he probably averages somewhere around like 22, 23 a game, maybe. Giannis is going to be Giannis, but those are going to be the two scoring options. Everybody else is kind of going to fill in around them, and and play their roles, while those two primarily are the team's offense, basically. So they went, they got Miles Turner, who he's not like a huge scorer, but he's a stretch five who can, knock down the three ball. He gets you rebounds, protect the rim. Having him and Giannis on defense have to go up against, that's going to be tough. But you throw Bradley Beal in the mix, a healthy Brad Beal in the mix, and he's coming to look back and, reclaim this, that scoring mentality that he once had when he was in Washington. If he can do just over 20 a game. Like I said, 22, 23, 24 a game. And Giannis is averaging like 28, 29, 30. Like, Brad Bill still has a lot left in the tank. I don't know. People make it seem like he's not that guy anymore. And that's only because he's played with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker the last couple of years. So, like, of course, anybody that plays third to those guys, your numbers naturally going to take a hit because of the type of game that they play. So yes, Bradley Beal is another name or big name out there that Miami could potentially sign, and this time maybe for cheap. They don't have to worry about the money. They don't have to worry about the no trade clause. They can bring him in literally on a vet minimum if they wanted to. Um, I think Brad Beal will have the freedom to go where he wants. I believe. I don't think there has to be like a sign and trade to do that, which means Miami would not have to offer anything, which we know can't compete with anybody else that offers anything. So they'll pretty much just be in the market and just be like, hey, try to convince them to come to Miami, which
Because it's
I
Miami.
did read a report that, because Brad Bill was interested in Miami when he was in Washington. Like, it was down to Phoenix and Miami, and he chose Phoenix. So maybe Miami is still on his radar. I don't know. The Heat apparently will be interested in Dame when he gets, you know, closer recovering from his Achilles tear. I'm hearing that he's a potential option for not this upcoming season, but the year after when he comes back. So Dame likes Miami, but he also likes me near his family, importantly, which I heard. Um, I can't remember if y'all had sent the article or something, or if I saw this online, but apparently him wanting to go rehab and be with his family in Portland was something that the Bucks had factored in and used against him to basically waive him
Yep.
because he wanted to be home to rehab and not in Milwaukee, which I thought was pretty shitty of them to do if that is the case. So, but he's a free man now. He can pick where he wants to go. So, I know he's older, coming off an Achilles injury. Um, Miami might be interested now because they can get him for cheap. Who knows? But we'll see. But keep your eye on the Bradley Beal situation. The last thing I meant to add, this was important. They said the Suns. There was a report that came out that said the Suns should be making a decision on Bradley Beal's future within the next 24 to 48 hours. So we should see something regarding him, whether Phoenix waives and stretches him, or they trade him. Something's going to happen with Brad Beal in the next 24 to 48 hours. So just be on the lookout for that.
Bradley Beal to the Detroit Pistons. Lock it in. Miles says no. Well, fellas, I got one more thing, and I guess we can wrap it up. What's y'all thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys documentary coming out?
Still living in the past. That's my thought.
America's
We need
team.
some new stuff to look at some stuff from this time period, from this era, to look at. Tired of looking at old stuff and reminiscing about old guys used to be great and all of that. I'm tired of it.
Jerry trying to sell that team. Jerry trying to sell that team.
You need to sell the team. Going in to make a video about why owning the Dallas Cowboys is great.
Hey, look, I'm trying to get a Dallas Cowboys fan to come with me to this Cowboys game, and every single fan is like, "No, I don't want to go." Ethos said, "I ain't giving the Cowboys my money until Jerry gone," and then Steven Jones got one chance. So it's
Yeah.
like, leave, man.
Every Cowboys fan now, I think they're finally starting to, even the delusional ones, are finally starting to see the light with this team and how they do business. You know, I think the way his whole head coaching process happened earlier this year with Brian Schottenheimer, with the names that was out there that they didn't even interview, didn't even call. Um, that set wrong for a lot of people. That put a sour taste in a lot of folks' mouths, and me included, obviously. So, you know,
What what game was it this year? I want to say they were playing the Texans. I don't know where the Texans. I mean, they were more Texans fans than Cowboy fans at the game, and it was glorious to see. Glorious to see. And
yep,
then
home
you heard
games
that.
felt like road games.
Yeah, when you heard that bottom line, then changes got to happen.
Yeah, but even though Jerry Jones didn't go out there and get a player, wow. Even though Jerry Jones didn't go out there and get an actual coach to come in and replace McCarthy. Again, I don't fully blame the Cowboys staff because they thought they had McCarthy locked up, and then McCarthy decided he changed his mind, so that kind of put him at a disadvantage. They still could have dotted the T's, crossed the or dotted their I's across the T's. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. But they hired Schottenheimer because it was easy and it was convenient, and a lot of people were upset. I was upset. But ever since that first press conference, I got a chance to listen to him and all the things he said. And from that moment on up to this point, everything that he's done has been purposeful. It's made sense. He's saying all the right things. He's hired the right coaches. He ain't going out and hired his buddies or people that he knew and was like, hey, you're my friend. You're the offensive coordinator because I know you. Like, he actually made hires that made sense. I think my favorite hire was the offensive coordinator position. He went and got the running backs coach from Arizona, who, despite had a terrible season, had one of the best run games in football last year. Even though they weren't, on paper, the best team, they had a pretty good running game. And we're trying to run the ball this year. And we went and got four running backs, two in free agency, two in the draft. And we got one of the best running back coaches as an offense coordinator. So that clearly he's trying to do something and he made sense. Even the running backs, go get the running backs coach, offense coordinator. This guy had these guys. He had James Conner and whoever else running the football all over people. So I can only imagine what he'd do with the guys we got. So it made sense. And the things he's been doing, putting Michael Parsons' locker next to Dak's locker, putting emphasis on leadership. And then the latest thing was getting more guys to come out who've already done it, who've won, who's been to the Super Bowl, who played in the big games to come around the facility, with those championship rings, so these guys can be around some freaking winners. This is what it looks like to win. More motivation. No other coach in the past has done stuff like that. Putting things in the locker room for them to be more competitive and stuff like that. Like, little stuff like that matters. I'm telling you. I've been there. I've been around it in the locker rooms, and like I've been around coaches who've done things like this to help motivate a team and put the team in the right mindset. So that's showing me that this man is trying to win football games, which is something the Dallas Cowboys have really not been prioritizing for like since ever. They prioritize, like I said about the Cowboys, and they are a business organization that plays football on the side. That is how I've been looking at them over the years. They do everything else really, really well except put a football team together and care about winning games.
Sound like
But
Carolina.
it finally feels like because I've been looking for every reason to be mad at this dude, Brian Schottenheimer, and like I'm trying to find every reason to be like this coach to hire was stupid. It was idiotic. This man don't know what he's doing.
Wait till you 1 and
Um,
6.
never. And when he is, and I'm a dog him. Rightfully so. But again, just going off of what he's done so far, I have no regular season games to go off of him because he's never been a head coach. So we don't know. Like we don't know how these other coaches are going to turn out. The Ben Johnsons, all these guys, the guy Aaron Glenn in New York. Like we don't know how these guys are going to go. Like yes, they were hot names, hot coordinators, but they might be terrible coaches.
Josh
Like Matt
McDaniels
Eberflus.
3.0.
Matt Eberflus, Dan Quinn with the Falcons. Like those guys didn't get it done in those head coaching gigs, but they came back. Dan Quinn as a coordinator
Dan Quinn did make it to the Super
restored.
Bowl.
He did make the Super Bowl,
Kyle
but
Shanahan lost him that Super Bowl.
we saw what happened. He the
Kyle
head coach
Shanahan
though.
lost him that Super
He the
Bowl.
head coach though.
You right.
So ultimately,
28-3. Shout out
that's what
Atlanta.
you blame. 28-3. But anywho, so Dan Quinn comes back, becomes a coordinator. He restores his name, gets another opportunity. Well, Eberflus, who's apparently a better coordinator than he is a coach, coming back has a chance to restore his name, and then he might get another chance of being a head coach. And the one thing I'm hearing about Eberflus that I was excited about is the fact that he's actually playing guys at their positions to where they can maximize their abilities. Because apparently, um, Mike
That
Zimmer was not doing that with certain guys. He had guys playing in areas or playing out of position, and that affected some people. So some of the words out of training camp, out of mini camp, a few weeks ago when they were doing that was that some of the guys on defense were happy with Eberflus because they were actually letting them play in areas and places where they felt like they could maximize their abilities. And I was like, that's pretty important. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't any coordinator do that? Why would you let the Yankees playing, Jazz Chisholm at third instead of at second where he belongs? Like why? I don't know. I don't get it. But doing simple stuff like that, it makes sense. Put the guy in a position where he plays best. Should be doing for everybody, right?
That's true.
Like you're the best lockdown corner. Well, I want to try you at linebacker. Like what? What? Why?
Versatility. Position versatility.
Like yeah, you got the size, whatever. Let's put you at line. You ain't never played linebacker at that level. Never. You just gonna throw the guy out there? You thought playing Tim Tebow at tight end was gonna work? How that end? You just can't switch positions and make a guy play a position just because he played in the high school. Don't mean it's gonna translate professionally.
Terrell Pryor. He got 1,000 yards as a wide receiver.
Well, he's the one outlier. You have a couple of anomalies. They don't happen with everybody, but
Yeah,
you got a
that's
couple
true.
guys out there that go against the grain and that you put them in a new position and they thrive. Whatever, okay. But for the most part, you take a guy who's never played this position professionally and put him in that position, he's probably not going to do too well. That would just be my guess.
It's true.
You put him up against guys who have played this position professionally forever, and you think this guy who just started a week ago is going to come in and just start, crushing it? No.
Well, it depends on the coach though too. Like a Bill Belichick and a Julian Edelman, Antoine Randall, some of them guys who come in. I guess quarterback to receiver may be I don't want to say easier, but I mean you know where to be at, you know the routes and stuff like that. But
Yep, I get it.
I don't know.
But
I don't
hey,
feel good about Miles Sanders. Y'all know I don't like Miles Sanders from Carolina. He was hurt. He was hurt. I'm
yeah,
gonna give him that. He was hurt.
I get that. I mean, he was good with Philly, and when he left there, he wasn't really the same after that. So, I mean, I'm not saying that Dallas is going to like revitalize him or he's going to be better, um, but I just like the veteran presence in the locker room. Him and Javonte Williams. I'm really more excited about the young backs. The guys that we
Yeah.
drafted. I'm hoping that one of those two, probably Blue over Maffa, But I'm hoping that Blue becomes the starter. Honestly, I'm really not high on Javante Williams or Miles Sanders being a starter. Although one of them probably will be
Yeah.
because of, like I said, the experience factor. They've been there, the veteran. But I'm thinking at some point during the season, um, if the rookies do well, they will slowly start to get more reps, and then eventually one of them, probably Blue, will become the starter.
Miles about to leave us, bro. So let's get our ending thoughts because Miles about to leave us.
Yeah, I gotta get up 4:30 in the morning, man, and drive
Yeah.
2 hours back to
Oh my
Richmond.
goodness.
But nah,
Gotta leave
Golly.
man.
at 4:30.
Yeah,
He
because
in
I'm in
Suffolk.
Suffolk, right? I'm in Suffolk.
I'm saying you have to leave at 4:30. You got to be back in time for something.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, so oh yeah, I work during the summer. Works. I gotta be there at 7 o'clock.
Oh hell!
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah. Things you
He
do
could
for
have
love.
came and stayed with you this weekend.
Well, no, they did, but then
She
we
got to work.
yeah, she do summer school, but we attended some today. So during the summer, I usually just stay here Sunday night so she can sleep better. The things you do for love.
Things you do for love.
Mhm.
Well, continue being a great man that you are. I just hope that you come out in the red shorts afterwards, put you to sleep,
Ain't gonna happen tonight.
and then we even.
Well, I don't got nothing, fellas. What y'all got?
Ladies, stay warm. Winter's coming.
Hey,
And football season's coming up. And then right after football, NBA coming up Halloween. Ooh, ooh.
football is back in 25 days.
Yeah, and then the only thing I'll say is that Pat Riley is slowly becoming Jerry Jones by the minute in terms of how he's managing this team.
Yep. Football back in 25 days. Hall of Fame game is July 31st.
Oof.
Ooh.
Time for me to hit the mock draft, get ready for fantasy football season.
It ended in February.
Well, basketball ended in June, but you got to think a lot of teams that didn't make the playoffs, their season ended in what, April?
Yep. And now they in summer league.
Yeah. NBA playoffs is 2 months long. That's why it don't seem like it was that long.
Yep. About time for me to hit the mock draft, baby.
Hey, we doing fantasy football?
Ready for fantasy football.
No, I usually do pigskin pick 'em.
I like picks and pick them too. Fantasy football, you got to manage and
I
Yeah.
if
love it.
players
I love it.
hurting
Like
and
it's literally a whole all weekly, all week thing. Every day you're getting on there looking at matchups, like looking at players. Like you
Yeah.
feel like a real GM.
then trigger taking people players and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Brian Thomas Jr. was a big pickup for me last year. I'm glad I had that one. Shout out Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, I got robbed last. I had scored the most points or the second most points in my league and didn't even
And
make the playoffs.
lost. Oh no, I thought you went all the way.
No.
Dang, because you was beating people.
See, what happened was in the league that I was in with the guys I play ball with here in Lynchburg, they every week I played against a team that scored the highest amount of points. Like they scored like 170, 180 points, and then the following week they scored like 96. Like I literally went on a stretch, like 4 games in a row, where I played the team that scored the most points out of the 10 teams in that league. And they would score some ridiculous, like I was scoring like 140, 150, like enough to win. But these guys were scoring 170, 180 when I played them, but would
and
score 110 when they played everybody else.
and you put everybody on the bench, and then you decide you want to go for 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, F you. I
No, that
forgot.
was literally my luck last year. Like every team that I played for the most part, like 4 or 5 weeks in a row, they had the most, they 180, 190, like ridiculous. Like 160 and I'm losing, still losing. Like what? Like you
Yeah,
don't lose, you don't score 160 and lose the fantasy football. Like that's a lot of points.
it's that time of the year, ladies. Y'all better get y'all vacations in, cause it's almost sports season. We are.
Football, basketball,
Well, you know what they gonna do. They gonna
MLB playoffs going on with
this
all
is
that
when they
ball three happening.
this is when they get their side dues, man. So fellas, sports is going on, but don't lose track. You know what you got to
Woo,
do.
please,
Go through
just
that phone, fellas.
get me out of here.
And when we got football, when's college? College football starts August 23rd. So
College football is gonna be back here soon.
August 23rd. So it's coming. But
Nervous
all
about
right,
them Bulls this year.
we about to get back into it. I'm Be Wise,
I'm Miles.
But I'm triggered.
and we strictly sports. Peace, peace, peace. Appreciate y'all.
Leave the door